Latest from Zimbabwe. We've got a competent team of reporters and camera people out there in Zimbabwe covering the upcoming elections. One of them is Tsepiso Makwetla. A very good morning to you. How's preparations going?
Depending on whom you ask, are seemingly going very well. According to the SABC, the Electoral Commission, less than 4 days before the election is upon us, that they are good to go and that they're ready to deliver a credible election. But obviously, opposition parties have questions around that, the credibility of the vote. They are citing, reports of violence, threats of violence. They are citing lack of transparency with regards to the voters' roll. But as it is, all 23 presidential candidates are saying that they will participate in the votes, even though they do have questions around it. And questions that they say, should it arise at the outcome that they feel that the vote was not credible, they certainly will reject the outcome. So we are now, as we speak to you, in Harare, where the incumbent President Emmerson Mnangagwa is expected to address vendors. He has reached out to the community. In fact, they say they reached out to him because they believe that this is a new era, and they believe what he says with his mantra that Zimbabwe is open for business, that conditions are changing. So he is going to address them. And of course, you know that the unemployment level here in Zimbabwe is at over 80%. So the informal sector is a very significant constituency. And we are here with Mr. Maposa, who is one of those vendors. And he talks to us. A very good morning to you, Mr. Maposa. Thank you very much for speaking to us. He talks to us about why they're here and what's important to engage the president of Zimbabwe for these upcoming elections and most especially the future. Very good morning to you.
Morning, ma'am. We are very happy to be here because the president also recognized us as vendors, because we thought we are not even recognized. So we are very, very happy as vendors. It's one step in Zimbabwe to be recognized as vendors, because we are carrying almost 75% of the economy at the moment, because we manufacture things on our own. Almost everything we are selling here, it's hand to hand. Thank you, ma'am.
So tell us a little bit more about how many people do you work with, and how did you actually reach this point where you are forced to make ends meet by manufacturing items to sell?
I've got 10 workers. These are also youths. I started alone, moving in the streets, carrying bags. Almost everyone knows me here in Zimbabwe. Started 11 years ago, but now I'm also somebody. I also registered my company. I'm wishing to be the best here in Zimbabwe.
And what is the cost? Are you able to make ends meet? Are you able to take care of the family?
Yeah, I'm taking care of my family. Even some of my kids are going to A schools, doing on my own.
The realities of being in the informal sector, though, I mean, for those who've actually never worked outside of the formal sector, what are the challenges? What do you face?
We face too many things, like we don't have accounts, but we are happy because the bank for the youths had been opened by the president last week. So we are also happy because we can go and borrow money and then we do what we need to do to improve our Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mafara. So it comes down to the reality of the average Zimbabwean, whether or not they'll be able to make a living. And this is one of the key points that opposition parties are using to campaign on. Speaking to the MDC Alliance, for instance, they say that it's not a challenge for them whatsoever. Tendai Bitu, who's a former finance minister, says they've done that when they were in the government of national unity and they're ready to do it again. all that needs to be ensured is that you buck up the macroeconomic policies, that you ensure that you further capacitate means of production, that you deal with unemployment. You know that a lot of sectors have been brought to their knees because of the political circumstances here in Zimbabwe. And the incumbent Emerson Mnangagwa says, well, they as ZANU-PF have turned the tide, that they're able to attract more investment. How long that reality will take to really come down on the ground, that's something that he himself will have to deal with.
Tsepiso Makwetla, live for us in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much indeed.